Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're taking a look at the case of Patrick Daniel Tillman Jr., also known as Pat Tillman, who died on April 22nd of 2004 during a deployment in Afghanistan. Now before he began his military career, he also had a career in the NFL, which he gave up after September 11, 2001 happened, enlisting on May 31st of 2002 with his brother Kevin. It says here the two brothers completed the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program in late 2002 and were assigned to the 2nd Ranger Battalion in Fort Lewis, Washington. Tillman resided in University Place with his wife before being deployed to Iraq. After participating in the initial invasion of Iraq as part of the Operation Iraqi Freedom, in September 2003 he entered Ranger School at Fort Benning, Georgia, which he graduated from on November 28, 2003. Tillman was subsequently deployed to Afghanistan and posted at Forward Operating Base Salerno, which is where the incident took place. Initially, his family was told that he was killed in line of duty, so in other words, shot by the enemy, and then after his burial, they went and investigated, or an investigation was called for, and it turned out that he was most likely killed by a friendly fire, as they call that. Now, some people think that the fact that Tillman called the invasion and occupation of Iraq effing illegal is connected to this friendly fire incident, and they have all sorts of theories about when and how it happened. In any case, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page at the moment. It says here, an investigation by the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division, or the CID, concluded that Tillman and the Afghan militia soldier were killed by friendly fire when one allied group fired upon another, in confusion after nearby gunfire was mistakenly believed to be from enemy combatants. The CID report summary dated March 19, 2007 stated that Tillman's platoon had split up because of a broken HMMWV. The parts were called Serial 1 and 2. Which I'm guessing are like two groups of people that belong to the same unit. During the movement through the Canyon Road, Serial 2 was ambushed and became engaged in a running gun battle with enemy combatants. Serial 1, Tillman's portion of the platoon, had just passed through the same canyon without incident and were approximately 1 kilometer ahead of Serial 2. Upon hearing explosions, gunfire and sporadic radio communication from Serial 2, Serial 1 dismounted their vehicles and moved on foot to a more advantageous position to provide overwatch and fire support for Serial 2's movement out of the ambush. Upon exiting the gorge, and despite attempts by Serial 1 to signal a friendly position, occupants of the lead vehicle of Serial 2 opened fire on Tillman's position, where he was fatally shot. So on the one hand, you have people criticizing, of course, the fact that they didn't let the family know until after the funeral that they suspected friendly fire. And on the other hand, you have people who think that the friendly fire, quote-unquote, was intentional based on his statements and beliefs. One investigation of the autopsy report and photographs by two forensic pathologists in November 2006 concluded that Tillman was most likely killed as a result of fire from an M249 light machine gun. The M249 uses the same ammunition as the M16 rifle and M4 carbine, but is capable of higher rates of fire. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing the names of these guns correctly because I'm not really a gun person, so that probably explains it. They're saying that it's possible that somebody on a light machine gun would have put 3 bullets very close together at about 40 to 50 yards away. I have heard that other people say that the conclusion was that they had been fired from 10 yards away. There's also something about that in here. On July 26, 2007, Chris Matthews reported on Hardball that Tillman's death may have been a case of deliberate murder by Tillman's fellow soldiers, specifically that the bullet holes were tight and neat, suggesting a shot at close range. Matthews based his speculation on a report from the doctors who examined Tillman's body. The following day, the Associated Press reported that a doctor who examined Tillman's body after his death wrote, "The medical evidence did not match up with the scenario as described," also noting that the wound entrances appeared as though he had been shot with an M16 rifle from fewer than 10 yards away. A possible motive was not identified. When officers and soldiers were asked during a criminal investigation, they said they were certain the shooting was accidental. According to one of his fellow soldiers, Tillman was popular among his fellow soldiers and had no enemies. So there's lots of confusion and people in several different camps saying different things. And that is why I was asked to do a reading on this case using the tarot to see if we can get anything here, any more clarification. And to start, we're going to use the Santa Muerte deck, which is currently on the table. And for any further questions, moving on to the Smith-Waite deck, which is this one. Now, as per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the cards. As soon as I have about a table full of cards, we're going to stop and take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we are starting off strong with the Santa Muerte herself, which is Death in this deck, followed by the Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles, both in reverse. So let's see, there is a period where things change. I feel like this is the moment where he decided that he wanted to give up the NFL career. I think this is maybe Stemper 11 itself, because Death, of course, is the card that says that there's a big change. Things are not going to be the same again. It's the end of a chapter, that type of thing. We have the Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles, both in reverse. Now, the Queen is often somebody who's trying to balance certain things, certain resources, time, money, whatever it is, things that they feel responsible for. To try and balance the resources in order to get those done, but she's not being very effective. In this case, they're in reverse, and next to that is the Page, which is already kind of like in careful spending, kind of carelessness with resources. So I feel like combined with the Santa Muerte herself over here, this may be him thinking, I'm wasting my time here. There's so many better things I could be doing. So I think this is the event itself, September 11th, and the decision made, or at least the observation made, that their time could be better spent with these three cards right here. So we're in the past. We're always in the past, obviously, but still, this is the moment where he decided to change his career. Then we have the 6 and the 9 of Wands and the World. Okay, interesting that we get both the 6 and the 9. This being the 9 and this being the 6. We have here the World, like I said. The Wands energy are all about action, and the 9 of Wands is being tired of finding something. The 6 of Wands being celebrated, I guess you would say. And then we have the World here, so we're also celebrating somebody or something in a very public way. Now, of course, as an NFL athlete, he was, of course, celebrated for his talent there. But I suppose his decision to go and fight this war in another place in the world was also celebrated by people, because, of course, that is a courageous thing to sign up for, together with his brother. Also noticing all the petals that are raining down from the sky, both on the 6 as well as the 9 card. So there's a celebration of both. On the one hand, it's almost like a repeat of these 2 pentacles over here. We have 2 pentacle cards that kind of have the same energy, at least combined with the card next to it. It's the same type of mood, them deciding to at least that their time could be better spent. And then we have the action mode that follows that decision, where they are also celebrated for that decision that they made very publicly in the world's view. by all sorts of different people as well, because you have these different layers in the background of different skulls. So very public celebration there. Just also being tired of something because of the Nine of Wands, which is normally a wounded warrior type of card, or at least somebody who is just tired of fighting. But at the same time, the card does show somebody reaping something, so almost like rewards, or possibly it's time to give up one thing and reap the rewards and move on to the next while being hailed as a hero. Looks as though. Then on the next row we have the sun going down, we have judgments, and we have the Ace of Wands. Okay, so we're taking action here with the Ace of Wands, but it is something based on, I would almost say, losing some type of childhood innocence, because the sun is going down. The sun is all about this radiant childhood innocence. Normally there's a child sitting on a white horse and they're looking very happy and just glad to be alive, that type of thing. If you look at this sun, I know it's a skull, but it always kind of reminds me of the sun of the Teletubbies because it has a face in it. So this really youthful exuberance, I think is the word, normally represented by the sun, but it is in reverse. So I feel like something that they used to believe in is now having a sundown event. So things that they used to believe in, used to take for granted, are now no longer quite certain. We have here the Judgment card as well, like they're seeing certain things and judging it heavily, and then they decide to take action here with the Wands card, the Ace of Wands. Also noticing that this Ace of Wands over here is the, I guess, the immature version of the Nine of Wands that's being reaped over there. So I guess they're starting something new, and I guess they're going to eventually expect to reap rewards from that as well. It's just the start of the new period in their life, but also losing some type of innocence here. Some type of radiance in their life is leaving. The light is leaving his life. It could be that they are now coming to realize that certain things aren't quite what they always thought they were. And then I'm thinking like people have a certain view of certain jobs, certain career paths. This could be that they ended up at least they went into this military career thinking that things were going to be a certain way, and they turn out not to be quite so, but they're still persevering here with this Ace of Wands. Then we have a Four of Cups card, we have the Seven of Pentacles, and we have the Page of Swords. Alright, so this looks a bit like disillusionment, because we have here the Four of Cups, which is kind of like not really wanting to make a choice. There's normally somebody sitting by a tree, and there's 3 cups on the ground, and one of them is being offered by a hand that's just floating in the sky. But in this case, we see somebody who's kind of lamenting emotions, possibly lamenting a loss. It kind of reminds me of the Five of Cups in that sense, like we're focusing on things that we've lost without actually looking at what we still got left. And if we don't tilt our head back up to look ahead of us instead of down, we might lose that as well. There's an instrument in the background that's kind of being ignored, like there's certain things that could be used to improve the mood, but they're just being ignored, and they are instead choosing to look at this heart down here that looks kind of lonely and blue, and then there's this centipede on the ground that kind of represents, I guess, ugly truths possibly that are crawling out of the darkness, the darkest spots of the soul possibly being revealed here, or possibly darkness revealed from other locations. Either way, they are focusing on that very much. We have next to that the Seven of Pentacles, which is basically harvesting what's on the vine, or looking at things that are becoming ripe based on previous actions, like the consequences of your actions starting to become clear with this Seven of Pentacles card, which I think follows this disillusionment card. And so maybe they had a moment of realization that things were not quite as they thought they would be, not quite what it's cracked up to be. And the final card on this bottom row is the Page of Swords in reverse. Now the Page of Swords tends to act quickly and possibly without thinking things through, particularly when it's in reverse like this. We might have somebody having some words that may not have been well thought out. So maybe he's been arguing with people, he's been saying certain things that may not have been quite what he felt at the time, but more like the knee-jerk reaction type of thing. Like when you have an argument with somebody, you may say something that you don't quite mean, but there's like a core of truth in there, but the message is too sharp. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. So based on this disillusionment that there's feeling over here, the emotionality that came with, I guess, realizing certain things were not quite what they expected them to be, they may have said a few things that were not appreciated and were also possibly not meant the way that they were said. So this may be pointing towards these statements that were recorded that he was making about the war itself and the whole invasion thing. Let's see. I'm guessing we are now getting closer to the 22nd. Let's see if we can find about the, I guess, time leading up to that and the event itself. Okay, card fell off screen. It is the Seven of Cups in reverse. Alright, so we're not really seeing any options here. There may be wishes made but not granted because they are aware that there is nothing for them to wish for. So this is a no other option type of card. I don't know if I want to say no turning back. It's more like, okay, this is just it for now. It's not necessarily a super negative card, but it's more like you just know that you have to get through something because you can wish for things to be better, but you know that it's not going to happen. So I think that's what that card is pointing towards. Just this feeling of, okay, well, might as well get through it because we're here, and wishing we were somewhere else is not going to help. Again, the sun, and it's actually positioning itself on the other sun, which was also in reverse. So this is a double negative that we're seeing here. I guess they are now even more so feeling very negative about their situation, and I guess whatever light they still had left or things that they believed held there are also leaving. More disillusionment, possibly being confronted with things that they possibly wish that they hadn't been confronted with. And we have here the High Priestess, meaning that they're kind of looking behind the veil, which I guess is also why we're seeing this disillusionment right here, and the sun leaving, because usually when you discover how things are made, what's behind certain things, you end up discovering things that are not positive, or at least not what you expected them to be. Like the lighter version of that, I guess, would be, I believe somebody once said that you don't want to know how sausages are made because then you probably wouldn't want to eat them anymore. It's kind of like that, but probably more on a more serious note. Okay, and then this one. Page of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so I feel like this is them feeling like they misspent their resources, possibly because they initially thought that they were spending their resources incorrectly. Over here with the Page of Pentacles that was on the first row, they're now perhaps starting to realize that it doesn't really matter, and what they're doing right now is also not time well spent. So they're kind of also wondering if maybe they could have chosen a different path that would have possibly have led to a better way to spend their time and talents. Reminiscing about the past, but it's also kind of landing on the Seven of Cups. This is the Six of Cups, so the Six of Cups is often more a walk down memory lane. I think this may be trying to ignore the past, or possibly almost rewrite memories in a way, like reviewing things that you used to hold as truth, like I said, and kind of applying those to your past self. Like, oh, I used to think that this was cool, but actually I was just doing this and that. I don't know, according to some rules that somebody else came up with. It's not quite what I had in mind or what I thought was happening at the time. So kind of like the past was filled with lies type of thing. We do see more Ace of Wands energy here, which we also had down there. We see a lot of repeats of the same energy and the same cards in this reading, like he's going through cycles, just going through things over and over again. Like some people need to go through a similar situation repeatedly before they actually get it, before things click, or they just like to keep trying, like they're constantly on this roundabout in life and they try different exits and then they're like, no, this isn't it either, and they go back to the same roundabout and they try another exit and they try another exit, kind of like that. We're going in circles here, but again, he's choosing to take action instead of possibly pausing and maybe waiting things out. He's decided that he's going to do something about it. Now what, we don't know. Let's see what other cards we get. This one flew down off screen. We have the Knight of Swords. Okay, so now we're definitely charging ahead with words and thoughts. So maybe he's speaking up even more now, possibly speaking to people who may not expect them to, kind of like possibly going above his station, above his pay grade with his words, or at the very least not really holding back what he's thinking and feeling, which is causing for some disharmony. There is the Ten of Cups in reverse right there, and a card fell on the ground. Hang on. It is the Nine of Cups as well. So not only are we causing disharmony with these fast-spoken words that may have upset some people, and we're also not feeling good ourselves either. There's a lot of trouble here, emotionally speaking, because of course this is the Cups card. He may have really upset some people, and that in turn upset him as well. Maybe he upset some people whom he thought he had a good connection with. Like maybe he had some friends there and they were initially on his side, but then he started to speak up a little bit more bravely, and people started to perhaps back away from that, like, oh, I don't really want any trouble, and that caused some more trouble between them as well. I wouldn't want to say betrayal, but more like some people possibly backing away from potential trouble rather than going against him. And that just made him feel really bad. And I'm looking at the next card that's in the line right now, kind of like we're getting that card a second time without actually pulling it from the stack, but that is the Four of Cups again, and I feel like we are again in that same emotional state of kind of loss, I guess, wishing things were different, feeling kind of down on our luck. Okay, we got a few cards here, and one of them fell off screen, which is the Nine of Pentacles. Interesting, because that is usually a good amount of resources that you're independently in possession of. We have the Hierophant here, and we have Temperance. Alright, so maybe he's decided, or somebody is asking them to quiet down. This almost seems like an offer, because looking at these cards over here, this seems very unlikely that he just decided that he was going to be very resourceful to himself and abide by whatever law this Hierophant is pushing and become more even-tempered. This seems more like somebody like a Hierophant stepped in and is like, okay, oh, sorry, just kind of kick this one to the side there. But they kind of maybe stepped in and was like, okay, let me just take you aside for a second. All this stuff here, yeah, let's not do any of that. If you just kind of go along with things, I'll make sure you're taken care of, and you can have this, you can have that. You're just going to make sure to calm down a little bit here and show a little bit more restraint. So possibly an attempt at getting him to quiet down in a way that would have benefited him if he had done that. But I suspect that he may not have wanted to do that. Judging from the cards we've had before, I don't think he would have been very happy with that. Let's see what else can we get here. Okay, there's a card right there. Oh, there's two of them. Took a while to get these two. Okay, so we're not signing up to that. And let's see, the Five of Wands, we are actually struggling a bit, maybe even fighting a little harder. We're lighting a match here. Now the Two of Cups, following these last three over here, where somebody possibly made an offer, seems to me like they rejected that offer. They decided not to view things their way and just take the easy and well-resourced route out. And instead they started to cause some trouble, because we have here, like I said, the Five of Wands. He's lighting this match here, almost like, okay, well, if this is what you think I would like if you think I can be bought, we'll see about that. Not only can I not be bought, I'm also going to double down on my efforts. That's kind of what these cards seem to be pointing towards. So he may have been acting up a little bit there. And then we have the Eight of Swords in reverse, so we're not actually letting ourselves get trapped here. Normally the Eight of Swords is like a mental state that you're trapped in. They may have felt like signing up for whatever this is with the Two of Cups would be like getting back into the rat race, but he decided not to do that, almost like trying to free himself of this mental imprisonment. Queen of Wands, very willful, but also doing the wrong thing, at least not positive actions that are being taken over here, because the Queen of Wands is in reverse. And the Queen of Wands, like I said, very willful, but if she is doing the wrong thing, she's going to be doing the wrong thing very willfully, and a lot of people probably won't like that. And of course, in this case, I see Queen of Wands and she, but it can be a he, so I think in this case, this is just Pat's energy being represented by the Queen of Wands. So not only are they starting a fire over there, they're purposely trying to avoid going back into the groupthink and just doing their own thing. You have the Empress here. So either he's trying to take care of some people or somebody is trying to take care of him. Normally the Empress is somebody who is a positive influence, but they're holding this fan in front of their face, almost like they're trying to hide something. Maybe this is another person who's trying to get him back into the fold by being a nice person, trying to get him to cooperate, trying to be nice to them. I'm just kind of looking at the log at their feet, and I'm not sure what the point of that is. Don't know what that is. Normally the Empress has a lot of bounty around her. Things are blooming. There's lots of food, and there's usually tons of animals. But then we have this log, which is essentially a dead piece of wood that's been cut off from a live one. And her chair is also made out of wood, and it's got a skull in the arm rest thing to it, actually. So maybe it's like, hey, why don't you do what I'd like you to do, or why don't I just tell you what the best way to handle things is, and here's some stuff that you might like, and come talk to me for a bit, like this whole sweet approach, but also kind of hinting at this may be your future if you don't do what I tell you. And trust me when I tell you, it's better to just do the thing, so to speak. All right, what do we have here? We have the Ten of Swords. All right, so dark before dawn, but not quite a temporary situation. We have the Three of Pentacles in reverse, so we're not working together. Three of Pentacles normally a cooperation card, so we're not working together at all. Like, the darkness is not letting up, but also because he's not cooperating. So there's that. Put you over here, and then we have a couple cards over here. Knight of Cups, only focusing on their own emotions. We have the Two of Wands, not able to go anywhere, and then we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Six of Pentacles is no charity given, so he's really focusing on his own thing. and not really looking at anything else. He's also riding away from people over here, which is interesting because that means his back is turned and he might not be aware of what's going on behind him at all times. Then we have the Two of Wands, so there's no escape. And also the Two of Wands is looking like a bandit over here, which combined with this guy looking behind him, or not looking the right way possibly, makes me wonder if this is like a foreshadowing type of thing, like, okay, fine, well, if you're going to do your own thing, you're only going to focus on your own self, then don't be surprised if something happens that you were not expecting. And then we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse, also no charity given. And I'm guessing it's only a matter of time before something happens, because we see a clock here, like time is up, that type of thing. It's not quite midnight, but the bells are chiming. King of Swords. Okay, so somebody's very manipulative here. And also pretty good because of the King energy here. They may be lying. They may be lying to Pat. I don't think this is Pat themselves lying, because so far all the cards that we've seen of his show him as being very above board with his the things that he's thinking about, the things that he's concerned with, trying to get people on board, I think. So this person may have been telling him some lies. Oh, here comes a card. Okay, that's interesting. This is one of those cards that doesn't actually have a name, and there's another card here as well. So we have the Four of Wands. So I'm guessing they're pretending that things are hunky-dory, if you want to use that term. And in the meantime, we have these what look like spirits carrying away a bunch of hearts. Interesting. Let me turn this around to see what we normally have here. Okay, so they're visiting a grave and lading it with love, I suppose, normally when it's upright. I haven't named this card, so I don't really know what this would be, but it seems almost like no love lost type of thing. So I'm guessing this manipulative King of Swords is pretending that everything is perfectly fine here, and in the meantime they don't really care. So that seems to be pointing towards the very negative. Maybe I'll put this over here so you can get a better look at it. There we go. The negative assumptions that people have made about the cause of death. So maybe not necessarily friendly fire, or at least not unintentional. That is sort of the story that I'm getting from these cards. Like, we've seen him at the start being very disillusioned with, I guess, the way he was spending his time because of the death card at the start. The major change in his life, which I'm guessing is a hint at September 11th, where he decided, you know what, I think my time is best spent defending democracy and the nation rather than playing sports. That's where he signs up, and then he very quickly gets disillusioned with that choice, but tries to make something out of it, but finds certain things so unagreeable that he cannot keep quiet about it, and that eventually draws attention, and he only really gets deeper into that downward spiral, eventually leading to people making decisions behind his back, not to his benefits. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. I hope you found that interesting. Make sure to leave a like and a comment. That really helps the channel along. If you'd like to subscribe, that'd be even better. In any case, I hope to see you in another video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.